Hear that grinding? That's not just metal. That's 40 tons of death coming personally for your soul. In your hands, a goodbye motherland 45mm gun. A weapon that won't stop this tank head on. Your crew is ready to die. They're looking at you, Commander. But you make them wait. Why? To look the enemy straight in the eyes. To make sure your shot is a death sentence, not just a spark on their armor. The infantry had a bitter saying about us: long barrel, short life. To the staff officers in their clean offices, we were just a line in a report. The dry mathematics of war. One gun equals 15 minutes of combat. That's it. After that, you're either in the ground or in a hospital, and your gun is a heap of twisted scrap metal. You sit in this pit, carved into the frozen earth at night, and you feel it in your skin. You are the bait. Your only tactical purpose is to buy 5 extra minutes while the heavy batteries deploy. 5 minutes of your life for their maneuver. But that day I decided we wouldn't die on someone else's schedule. We would fight on our own. They say you get used to everything in war. They're lying. You never get used to the smell of a burning German tank. It's a sickening, sweet stench of scorched flesh mixed with heavy diesel. When it fills your lungs, you know there's no mercy. I was 32. Back home were my wife and daughter. She'd probably forgotten the smell of my tobacco by then. Here, I stare through the sights and see a gray Panzer III crawling toward me. It's a mile away, but I can feel its weight in every cell of my body. Do you know what real masculine fear is? It's not about the shell that might hit you. It's that in the final second, your hand might shake, your vision might blur, and you'll miss. Because if you miss, those 50 boys dug into the foxholes behind you. They won't even have time to scream. You are their only luck. You are their only right to see tomorrow morning. Today, I'll tell you how we survived where the laws of physics said survival was impossible. We clawed at the ground as if we were digging a hole to hell. A gun pit means moving 3 tons of earth, by hand, at night, in total darkness. If the barrel catches the sun for 1 second at dawn, your crew is dead in 30. Have you ever worked so hard your fingers turned into stiff wooden claws? When you can't even feel your hands wrapped in rags just so the blood won't make the shovel slip? Sasha, my loader, just a boy, collapsed, exhausted, tears leaving white tracks through the mud on his face. I didn't pick him up. I kicked him in the ribs with my boot, hard, cruel. "Dig!" I screamed. "Dig if you ever want to see your mother again." A modern man would call that brutality. I call it the only way to keep him alive. His weakness was our shared grave. YouTube shows you clean, deep trenches. That's a lie. A real trench is carved inch by inch out of frozen rock with your bare teeth. I saw gray-haired veterans crying from pitch-black exhaustion, yet they kept digging. Rhythmic, like a pendulum. This is savage devotion. Sasha hated me in that moment more than he hated the Germans. But I knew that extra handspan of depth was his life. It's what would save his head when the mortars hit. In war, love means forcing your comrade to do the impossible. Either you break your exhaustion now, or you become part of this soil in an hour. But the worst part comes after. When the pit is dug and you're ready to die, silence falls. And in that silence, you don't hear the enemy. You hear your own thoughts. The real test of a man's soul. Fear is noise. Professionalism is silence. We had one shot. Hit the flank, right under the tracks. A miss meant their return shell would vaporize our shield. It wasn't a gamble. It was cold math. Our one shot was the price for the lives of an entire infantry company behind us. The shell weighs 1 kilogram. Do you know the sound it makes when it ricochets off a German hull? A cheerful little ring, clink, and that's it. The tank doesn't even flinch. This is the moment of absolute masculine helplessness. Your equipment has betrayed you. You are naked before a steel night. But this is where the real soldier begins. When the iron fails, something kicks in that isn't in the German blueprints. Rage. A savage engineering rage. We stopped shooting at the tank. We started aiming for the joints, the tracks, the slits, the barrel. We decided, If we couldn't pierce the shield, we would gouge out the beast's eyes. By 42, our 45mm gun against their new monsters was like a pocket knife against a grizzly bear. The shell sparks off the armor like a match against a box and flies into the sky. Something snaps inside you. You've been written off. But we stopped believing in the gun. We started believing in distance. Our decision was simple and lethal. If we couldn't kill it from a mile away, we'd rip its throat out from 50 yards. We let death come close, just to have a chance to kill it. 500 meters, 300. We can hear the Germans shouting to each other inside their machines. I can smell their diesel. In our crew, the silence is so heavy, you can hear the blood pounding in your temples. Sasha's knuckles are white as he grips the breech. I reach out and place my palm on his neck. It's hot, pulsing. I can feel his life beating under my fingers. Wait, Sasha. Wait. I whisper. The hardest decision of your life is not to run when a mountain of steel is falling on you. We waited until the tank exposed its flank, soft, vulnerable. We waited for the moment when our pathetic caliber would become a death sentence. Sasha hated the war. He wanted to build bridges, without a single wasted motion. Shell, breach, fire. We weren't thinking about the motherland in that moment. We were thinking about the mechanism not jamming. Real man's work is doing your job perfectly, even when your knees are shaking. The hardest part isn't the fight itself. It's the silence before it. When the tanks have already started their engines behind the tree line, but haven't stepped onto the field yet. You sit in your hole. It smells like dust and wormwood. And in that silence, you suddenly value the simplest things. The taste of a smoke, the warmth of a comrade's shoulder. I looked at Sasha. He's 20. The childhood hasn't burned out of his eyes yet. And I knew, if I look away now, if I show that I'm sick to my stomach with fear, everything collapses. A man's role in war is to be a pillar, even if you're rotting inside from terror. You must be as calm as a rock. You don't have the right to shaking hands. I didn't tell him. For the motherland. I said, Sasha, hold on to that breech like it's your mother's skirt. Don't look over there. Look at me. Listen for my command. We weren't the heroes you see in newspapers. We were just two men, biting down on our own fate, waiting for the first German track to roll over the embankment. Fire. The recoil hits so hard it knocks the air right out of your lungs. The world vanishes. All that's left is the screech of iron and raw, jagged cursing. The smoke stings your eyes. We're working blind now. Sasha is slamming shells into the breech, burning his palms on the white-hot casings. We aren't men. We are parts of a machine, lubricated with sweat and engine oil. A flash. He freezes. The first tank stops. A torch of flame erupts from the hatch. We didn't scream, hooray. We didn't have the breath for it. We just reloaded. Faster. Faster. This wasn't a battle for flags. This was work. Dirty, deadly, man's work. And there was no one else to do it. When it started, the world ceased to exist. All that remained was a 10-foot patch of dirt. Another shot, recoil, the clang of the breech. The casing flies out with a whistle, scorching your legs, but you don't feel it. The air becomes thick as syrup from the gunpowder haze. You don't scream. You rasp. At one point, the site was buried in dirt from a near miss. Anyone else would have quit. No Sasha. But Sasha, this kid who was crying over a shovel an hour ago, just tore off his tunic. With his bare hands burning them on the glowing barrel, he wiped the lens clean. He wasn't thinking about being a hero. He just knew. If the gun goes blind, we're finished. It wasn't like the movies. It was heavy, filthy, mechanical labor. You became a single knot of muscle, iron, and grit. We hammered those shells into the tanks like nails into a coffin lid. And when that first tank ground to a halt and the thick black smoke began to pour, we didn't cheer. We just looked at each other. Sasha's face was a black mask of soot, and only his eyes were gleaming. In that moment, he became a man. Forever. War isn't just about the glory. It's about the massive, hollow silence that follows. When the dust settles and you're sitting on the dirt, and your hands finally start to shake, shaking so hard you can't even get a cigarette to your lips. When it was all over, Sasha asked me, "Commander, why didn't we run? They told us in school that against a Panzer III we were nothing. Zero." I looked at my hands. They were black, unrecognizable. And I realized, we didn't run because our internal decision to stand was harder than their alloy steel. We didn't dig that earth until our hands bled for the sake of glory. We dug it so that tomorrow someone else could simply wake up in silence. We didn't win back then with calibers. We won with character. And here is my question for you, men. Today, when everything is measured in comfort and money, is that decision still left inside us? Could you today, without the theatrics, just for the sake of the man beside you, bite into the frozen earth and stand your ground until the end? Or has that vein inside us finally run dry? Right honestly, I want to know the truth.